Hi everyone, it's Jen with Caketastic Cakes, and I'm going to show you how I made this Friday night Funkin cake. This was a live stream I did, so the footage is going to be kind of split into two screens that you're going to see, but you should be able to follow along well enough. Alright, I'm going to start with a couple printouts that I made of Boyfriend and Girlfriend, the two characters from the game. And I also have three cakes that I made. I have two small rectangular cakes and one large rectangular cake. Those are in the refrigerator. They've been dirty iced. They're chilling, so they're nice and stiff and firm. And my printouts, I printed to the size. I just Googled images and printed out the size I thought would look good with the size cakes I made. I am going to do an outline, which I just did, of boyfriend and girlfriend both, starting with beige gum paste. And then from there, I'm going to work on boyfriend, and I cut up the template. I cut it up, and I use the white shirt part of the template to trace a white outline for his shirt, put it on the beige like that. That is the red part of the template for his hat. This is the cyan blue color, that's his hair. I cut it out of my original template, trace it out on some gum paste, stick it on his hat just like that. And I get asked all the time if you can use fondant for this, and you certainly can use fondant. You could use it for the boyfriend for sure, because he's going to be up against the side of the speaker. The girlfriend, you'd probably have to add some CMC powder or Tylose powder to make it firm, so she'll be stiff and able to sit up. Now I did the same thing. I'm still cutting out more of the template that I printed. I cut out the pants, I cut out his two sneakers. I'm using some navy blue and just some red gum paste, putting my layers on, and everything I roll out really thin, and I connect using a little bit of water on a paintbrush. I just paint the back of it and put it on. I cut out his knuckles because that'll make them more 3D. And I'm using the veining tool to make a couple impressions also to make like the lines where his fingers are separated. I have some gray for the microphone there at the end of his hand. And I'm giving him his ear, making that a little more 3D. I'm adding some white gum paste. I'm just going to do 3 little white laces on each sneaker. And I'm just rolling it thin between my fingers. The other stuff, like I said, I just roll out real thin on my countertop. And then cut it out and stick it on. That's all it is. It's just, if you can work with a template, if you can find a picture you like and cut it out and trace it, then you can do this. The bottom of his shoes, I'm just adding the little white border that goes around the bottom of his shoes, again using a little bit of water to make it all stick, and then I put him aside to let him set. Now normally I would do this in 2 steps. I would do this one day and let them really totally dry, but since I was doing this on a live stream, I was kind of rushing it, so I just put it aside to let it firm up as much as possible. Girlfriend, I cut off her legs and the back, the sides of her hair, but the rest of her I'm going to keep as one layer. Again, trimming it all out onto the beige, and the bottom I'm keeping flat across because she is going to sit on the top of the cake, and I'm going to build her legs in front of her and then her hair behind her, so I need something for everything to attach to. I'm using some brown gum paste to trim out her hair that goes on the front, and then just putting it in place. If you need to readjust a little, gum paste is still stretchy while it's soft, so you can move it around a bit. I cut out her dress, and there's actually very little of her red dress that shows in this pose that I'm using, so I'm only using a tiny amount of red gum paste. I put it into place, and she's got a nice big bosom, so make sure you don't lose the roundness there of your dress. And you saw her face. Again, it's just to make sure everything fits in the right place. I put that aside now to let it dry and let it firm up a bit as much as I could. And now I'm going to move on to the cake itself. This is just some light brown. And I'm cutting, it's hard to see, I apologize for that. But I cut kind of a rectangle slot out of the one side so I can wrap my cake plate. I wanted to cover the cake plate because Friday Night Funkin', if you're familiar at all with the game, the first level takes place on a stage. So that's what I was doing. I was making the wooden planks of the stage. And the graphics and everything aren't, the sharpest or the most detailed. So I'm just using some kind of like a lightish blue purpley color to do the outlines of the wooden planks. And there's only a few, and there's no great detail to it. So don't go crazy. We're not trying to make it look like real wood here. We're going pretty bare bones. These are very flat graphics, very two-dimensional, very cartoon and simplistic. So now I'm going to cover the speakers themselves. I've got the one large main rectangular cake there standing up on its side, And this is where I kind of went wrong. I should have done the two outsides, the left and right side first that I'm putting on there. Should have done them first, but I didn't. So do better than me. Start with your sides. Cut out your fondant. This is fondant, by the way. Put it on the sides of your cake. Then do that top wrap that I did where it faces the front and folds over the top. It'll just fit better. Again, because I was in a rush here, I was trying to keep things moving. I didn't cover the back side of the cake. At this point, you could do that too. But the two small cakes I'm covering right now with fondant, they are pretty much the same size. I'm just doing a regular old layover. Again, I was kind of going fast, so it's not the cleanest job in the world, not the neatest. I'm going to admit I don't mind Friday Night Funkin', but it's not my favorite thing in the world, and this was just for a live stream. We actually ended up eating this cake, so I wasn't too worried about it being perfect. So, again, take your time, make your edges sharp, do better than me, but this will definitely get you there. It'll definitely get you as far as you need to go. This is just a darker gray color. I cut out a couple of circles and pulled the sides and stretched it. This is gum paste again, not fondant, until I got the color and shape that I wanted. The center speakers have oval, kind of like hot dog shaped speakers with little black centers. That's what I'm doing there, putting little black centers in. And the side ones are just circles, so the sides are a little bit easier to do. The large main speaker has 4 bolts in each corner on the front. And I went ahead and cut out a strip. If you look to the left of the screen, you see me cutting out just a stripe there. I wanted to put a stripe across the top because my edges weren't that sharp. It just kind of cleaned up the look a little bit more, made it look a little nicer. My 2 little speakers are going on. Again, those are just 2 small cakes, came out of the fridge, which is why they're nice and firm, so I can move them around. And I'm going to do the same thing, putting the speakers onto there, so you can see the dark circles, the darker gray, 2 circles, and then 2 small black circles in the center. Since they're speakers, I guess you could hollow them out if you want, but again, the game is so flat and two-dimensional, I wasn't worried. Now that the cakes are set, I'm going back to my characters. So boyfriend, I'm using an edible food coloring marker, drawing the red no shape, I don't know, prohibited, whatever you want to call it, shape, the circle with a line through it on his shirt. I'm using a black food coloring marker to draw on his eyes, his eyebrows, and his mouth. And I kind of go back and forth. Like I hold it up to the face and then I move it, and that's where I put my lines, like that, okay? Now I'm also using the side of the marker and going around the edges of his character himself to kind of outline him in black. I put a couple marks in his ears, and I put marks on his hands so that his fingers look separated. I put some hash marks on the microphone. It just makes him look a little more cartoony. I'm going back to girlfriend now, and I'm going to finish up her face. I'm doing the same thing I did to the other one. I'm drawing on the eyes, I'm drawing on the mouth. I'm going to outline the body. I outlined her cleavage a little bit. Going to put some marks on her hands that are coming down the sides. Again, just to make it look more defined, more cartoon. Now I'm going to flip her over and attach 2 lollipop sticks to the back of her. I'm just using some gum paste and some water to make them stick. You got to be careful at this point when you press down to attach the lollipop sticks because her hair sticks out further. Right there where I was gesturing, I actually caused a little crack. So yeah, you're pressing down on something that's uneven, so you can crack it. And I did put a tiny crack in it. Again, since I was fortunate enough that this was just for me, I didn't care. Otherwise, I would have to start over. But yeah, just be aware. Just be aware. Now I'm cutting out her legs. I separated her legs and cut them out individually so that they can cross each other. And there she is, sitting across the top. Now I'm attaching her 2 legs like that so they overhang the side of the speaker. I'm using her shoes and some red gum paste or the templates of her shoes, I should say, to cut out some shapes from the red gum paste. And again, just use a little bit of water to attach them to her feet. It was a little bit tricky. I have this great cake stand, but it doesn't lock. So when you have a cake that's uneven in weight like this, it's always trying to swing away from me. So I'm trying to hold the cake, not let it escape me. While there it goes, it's running away, moving away from me. Okay, anyway, yeah, those 2 pieces of brown hair from the back that I trimmed off at the beginning, I held on to, cut out the templates there, put them onto the back of her head, add her little ear, and that's it. So it's really not a hard cake at all. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe. It really does help me out as well. Be sure to check out my other videos. I got a ton of them in many, many, many different themes. And as always, thank you for watching Caketastic Cakes.